Okay, good day. So this will be our quarter 3 lesson about life. So if I'm not mistaken, we're now on week 5. Okay, so medyo na-date tayo. So, okay, let's check first our quiz, YouTube quiz last time. So this will be your YouTube quiz number 2. So sabi natin yung nakaraan, so every after discussion, recorded discussion, so may mga quizzes, may activity, and ang checking natin will be on our next presented video. Okay, for us to check if we really understand the lesson well, kung kayo ba talaga ay nakinig. Okay, so that is my objective. Okay, so let's check first. Okay, the lower the frequency, the blank the sound. Our answer is letter D, higher. And still remember the relationship of the frequency, the energy, the pitch, and the sound. Sabi natin, if the frequency is higher, if mataas ang frequency, shorter ang wavelength. If shorter ang wavelength, ibig sabihin, mataas ang energy. Mataas ang pitch, malakas ang sound. Okay? If the frequency is lower, opposite around. Okay? Kung ang frequency mo ay lower, ibig sabihin, ang wavelength mo ay longer, mahaba. Okay? Ang sounds mo ay softer, ang pitch mo ay mababa. Okay? In this case, if the frequency is lower, therefore the sound is also what? Our answer is lower also. Kasi mababa ang frequency, so therefore lower ang sound. Okay. Number 2, the higher the amplitude, naman tayo, kung sinabi natin amplitude, this is the height of the wave. Sabihin yung energy na carry ni wave. The amount, this is the amount of the energy na dala ni wave. So the higher the amplitude, the blank the sound. Okay? Our answer is letter D. Sorry. So it's supposed to be letter D, not letter A. It's D. Correction for number 2. Number 3. The hertz is the unit measured for which property? Okay? So when we say hertz is the frequency, as the unit for the frequency. It is letter A. Always remember, pag sinabi natin hertz or frequency, it is the number of vibration per second. That's why if the frequency is higher, ibig sabihin, madaming wave ang nagpapass every second. Okay? So, yun ibig sabihin ng frequency. Okay. Letter A. Number 4. If the frequency of the wave is lowered, what happened to the speed of the sound wave? Ito tayo, kapag mababa na ang frequency, of course, sabihin nun, mababa ang pitch. Okay? Mababa din ang mababa ang pitch, mababa ang energy. Ano ang speed of the sound? Okay, if ang frequency is lowered. Okay, our answer is letter B. It slows down. Bumabagal din. So, sabihin, kumbaga sa sounds, medyo humihina. Okay. Number 5. Sound waves are what type of wave? Our answer is, okay, it's letter A. Always remember that sound wave is a longitudinal wave. Kung sabi natin longitudinal, the vibration is back and forth. Okay, left to right lang ang movement. Okay. Number 6. Does the sound does not travel in space because our answer is letter C, because space is an example of vacuum. O sinabi natin vacuum, wala siyang laman. Empty. And remember, the sound is a type of mechanical wave that requires medium to travel. Kailangan niyang gumamit ng matter. Such matter are solid, liquid, and gas. Since sa outer space ay walang laman. Okay? Empty space. So, hindi pwedeng makapag-travel. Pag-travel si sound. Kasi it is, okay, it is a vacuum. Number 7. Sound waves are longitudinal wave which have and refraction. So our answer is compression. Okay? So you have sound wave has compression and refraction. And remember, in longitudinal wave, ang wavelength, ang distance ni wavelength is between two compression. Because you have to get it eh. In getting the wave speed ka lang, alam mo yung wavelength. Okay? In sounds, para makuha natin yung wavelength, kailangan makuha yung distance between the two compression. Yung dikit-dikit ng molecules, particles. So that will be your wavelength. Okay? So our answer is letter B. Number 8, known as reflected sound waves. Our answer is letter B. Okay, echo. Number 9, if a sound wave travels 5 meters in 0.1567 seconds, so what is the speed of the sound wave? You have to apply the triangle method here. So since hinahanap natin ang wave speed, so remember the triangle method, you have to multiply your wavelength to your frequency. Okay, if you're going to multiply 5 times 0.1567, our answer is letter A. That's 319. Since we're looking for the speed of the sound, that will be meter per second. Okay, for number 10, an elephant produces 10 hertz sound wave. Assuming the speed of the sound in air is 1 second is 345 meter per second. So, determine the wavelength. So, since hinahanap naman natin sa wavelength, you have to, remember the triangle method, you have to divide your wave speed over your frequency. So, our answer here is 34.5 meter, letter A. Number 11, the sound wave travel at approximately 330 meter per second. So, calculate the frequency of 2.5. So, long sound wave. So, if you're going to get the frequency, you're going to, again, you have to divide your wave speed over your wavelength. Okay. Our answer is letter A. So, unit is hertz. Number 12, sound wave travel fastest in, okay, it is in solid. Remember, okay, the reason why mabilis si sound wave mag-travel sa solid because the molecules are compact. Ang molecules ni solid ay dikit-dikit. Okay? Kaya siya ay mas mabilis mag-travel mabilis mag-travel sa solid than liquid and gas. Number 13, sound wave travel faster in fastest si solid. Okay? Okay, it's letter A. Number 14, sound wave travels slowest in mas mabagal sa gas because the molecules of gas are far apart from each other. So, mabagal mag-transmit or mag-transfer ng energy. Number 15, energy carried by the sound, we call that one as intensity. Okay? Intensity of the ang energy na dala-dala. Ang tawag natin doon sa energy na dala-dala ng sound is intensity. Okay. So, I have your activity wherein we're going to put the check or mark if the statement below is true or false. Okay. So, let's have number 1. Sound wave is a longitudinal wave. Is it true or false? Our answer is true. Remember that sound wave is a type of mechanical wave. And mechanical wave has 2 types. Either it is as 3 types. Either it's transverse, longitudinal, or surface wave. So sound wave belongs to a longitudinal type of wave. So that is true. Number 2, sound can travel in all media but not in vacuum. So, si sound ba ay kaya mag-travel in all types of media, either solid, liquid, or gas, pero hindi siya makakapag-travel in a vacuum. Is it true or false? Okay, our answer is true. Okay, so sound cannot travel in a vacuum. Remember, when we say vacuum, it is empty space. Okay? walang laman. So, remember that sound wave is a mechanical wave that requires medium to travel. So, since si vacuum ay walang laman, hindi makapag-travel si sound. Number 3, sound travel faster in cold air than in hot air. What is our answer here? Our answer is false. Remember our discussion about sound, diba? Sound travels at very high temperature. Ibig sabihin, mas mainit, mas mabilis mag-travel ang sound. Why? Because if you still remember, kapag mainit ang isang ang surroundings, the molecules or the molecule of gases particularly moves very fast. So kapag mabilis silang gumagalaw dahil mainit, gumagalaw ang kinetic energy ng mga molecule is higher. Gumagalaw sila ng mas mabilis. So therefore, mabilis nila nata-transmit yung or transfer yung energy from one molecule to another molecule. So, kailangan ang temperature or the air must be hot. Okay? Para makapag-travel si sound wave ng mas mabilis. Okay. Number 4, sound wave are produced through refraction and compression of molecules. Our answer is true. Remember that sound wave is a longitudinal wave wherein there is a compression, okay, and rarefaction. So point the higher pressure and the lower pressure. So therefore, it is true. Number 5, sound wave can travel energy through vibration. Our answer is true. Ulit natin sinasabi sa our discussion na nakaraan. Sound wave cannot travel without vibration. So, there must be vibration first para makapag-travel si sound. So, sound waves are electromagnetic wave. Is it true or false? Of course, it is false. Okay? Si sound wave ay mechanical wave wherein it requires medium to travel. Pag sinabi natin electromagnetic waves, these are the types of wave that do not require any medium to travel. Hindi na kailangan gumamit ng solid and liquid. Okay? So, makapag-travel siya through electromagnetic reactions. Okay. Number 7, sound wave or mechanical waves. Our answer is true. Okay, again, pag sinabi natin mechanical waves, these are the type of wave that requires medium to travel. And sound is also example of that. Okay, particularly, it is a longitudinal wave, as I said, dun sa ating review. Okay, so question 1. Light is what type of wave? Di ba sabi natin yung nakaraan? And sound, we all know that sound is a longitudinal wave. Sabi natin longitudinal wave, the molecules move perpendicular or the molecules move back and forth, left and right. Okay? So, side by side ang movement niya. What about light? So, what type of wave is light? Okay. Light is the opposite of sound because light is a electromagnetic type of wave. So, si light, sabi natin electromagnetic wave, it do not require any medium to travel. So, hindi niya kailangan gumamit ng any types of medium, such as solid, liquid, or gas. So, kaya niya transfer ng energy alone. Okay? So, that is electromagnetic wave. Always remember, in electromagnetic wave, so, walang medium na kailangan to transfer the energy. Okay, always remember the shorter wavelength, it means higher energy and the higher frequency. Sabihin ng shorter na wavelength, mas maiksing wavelength, mataas ang energy, mataas ang frequency. Okay, so kapag naman longer ang wavelength, ibig sabihin ng lower ang energy, mababa si frequency. Okay, so always remember these 3 points in electromagnetic wave. Okay. So, for us to memorize the arrangement of electromagnetic wave in a spectrum, we have to memorize, okay, the acronym. Okay, by the way, when we say electromagnetic spectrum, this is the range of frequency of electromagnetic radiation and their respective wavelength in photon energies. Okay, so every what do you call this? Every electromagnetic wave has its own frequency. Okay, so has its own has its own size of wavelength. Okay, so for us to remember the acronym, or for us to remember the arrangement of this uh, electromagnetic wave, we have to memorize this acronym. Okay, memorize first the acronym. Raha's mother is visiting Uncle Saber's garden. Again, Raha's mother is visiting Uncle Saber's garden. So you have to remember the first letter. So CR ng Raha stands for radio. Okay? So CR, okay, starts for the radio. Ayun, sulat. Raha's mother is visiting Uncle Saber's garden. Okay, na bumalik. Okay, so R stands for radio. Raha's M is microwave. I is, ano yung I? Invisible light. Raha's mother is visiting. I is infrared. V is visible light, kasi visiting. Uncle is ultraviolet rays. Saber is X-ray. Garden is for gamma. Okay. Okay, so always remember that the shortest wavelength means high frequency, high energy. Pag longest wavelength, ibig sabihin, longest wavelength means lower frequency and lower energy. Since si gamma ay nandito, at shortest ang wavelength niya. Therefore, gamma has the highest energy and highest frequency. Okay? So remember the Uncle Saber's garden. Okay. Radio. On the opposite arounds, your radio is from here. Okay. As you notice, yung wavelength niya is much longer, or it has the longest wavelength. So therefore, your radio has the lowest energy. And the frequency is also lowest. Kasi if we're going to follow our rules, the shortest the shortest the wavelength is, mas mataas si frequency, mataas si energy. Pag mas mahaba ang wavelength, lower ang frequency, lower ang energy. Since radio has the longest wavelength among the 7 electromagnetic waves, therefore, radio has the longest wavelength and lowest energy sync with the frequency. Okay, so I have here simple pictures, the beach. Okay, the sand. So, sarap magpunta ngayon dito, lalo na pandemic. Kaso nga lang, okay, we are not allowed to because of the the COVID-19 na iniiwasan ng lahat. Okay, so bawal mo nang magagala. Okay, aside from using your eyes to see or to appreciate this picture, what else did you use para makita natin or na-picture out natin itong picture na to? Okay, our answer is visible light. And visible light is part of the electromagnetic wave. Now, what is visible light? So the visible light, these are the only wavelengths that are visible to the human eye. So there are some electromagnetic waves na you cannot see. Hindi kaya makita ng mata natin. The only thing, the only electromagnetic wave that can we see, ang tawag natin doon is visible light. From the term visible, yun na yung kaya nating makitang light. Okay? So normally white lights, okay, that is the light that can be visible to our eyes. So yun ang tinatawag natin na visible light. Okay? Now, question 2, how light travel? Okay, so we all know that we can see yung light na nakikita natin aside from uh, using our eyes to see things, ang nakakatulong pa doon is the visible light. Kaya tayo nakakakita. Okay? So, how light travel? Paano nga ba natatravel ang light? Always remember that the light travel in a straight path, diretso. Okay? So, if this is the candela, ito yung kandila, okay? Ang direction ng light niyan, ang path niyan ay always straight line, diretso. Okay, shadows are evidence of light traveling in the straight lines. Once the light has hit another surface or particles, it is then absorbed, reflected, or scattered, or refracted, or transmitted. Okay? But it passes through a straight line. Okay? So, sabi dyan, yung shadow daw, yan yung evidence that the light traveling in a straight line. For example, okay, if you have, kung meron kayong flashlight at nilagay mo dun sa wall, so sabihin, natatrap siya or hindi nakakapag-penetrate yung light ng dire-diretso kasi may barrier. So, since hindi siya nakakapag-penetrate or nakakapag-travel ng dire-diretso, ang nagiging result niya is yung shadow. So, shadow is the evidence that light is really traveling on the straight path. Okay? So, aside from that, sometimes, kapag ang light ay mayroong barrier, may harang, ang tendency niya is to absorb it. So, some of the materials, ina-absorb yung light. Okay? Yung ibang materials naman, nire-reflect back niya yung light. Kakaroon ng reflection of light. Okay? For example, pag tumingin kayo sa salamin, okay, yung light will travel from, or ang source natin is yung bulb. So, yung light coming from the light bulb will reflected doon sa mirror, and then the mirror will reflected back. Okay? Kaya yung nakikita yung image ninyo. Yung image ninyo is your reflection. Okay? Kaya pag tinaas nyo sa salamin, pag tinaas nyo yung left hand, sa salamin, ang tumataas is yung right hand. Pag tinaas mo yung right hand, ang dapat ang tataas ay left hand. Kaya magtaka ka na, if ang tinaas mo ay right, tataas din niya ay right. May something wrong. Okay? Medyo, creepy. Okay? Always remember, in light, either the light absorb, light refract, or light reflect. Okay? Nag-bounce off. Sabi natin ng reflection. Again, for example nga, ang example natin is mirror. Kung tumingin kayo sa mirror, yung light will reflected back or will bounce off. Mag-reflected back. Reflect siya pabalik. Kaya nakita yung image ninyo. Kaya nga, sabi ko nga, if kayo ay sasalamin at tinaas yung kaliwang kamay nyo, salamin dapat ay kanan. If tinaas yung kanan, dapat salamin ay kaliwa. So, if pareho kayo tumataas ang kanan, there must be wrong. There's something behind. Spooky. Okay? Creepy things. Okay? So, yun yung another example. Yun yung example natin. That the light is being reflected. Okay? And the other one, the light either refracted. Kung sinabi naman natin refracted, para siyang it's something to do with the direction and the speed changes. Okay? So, for example, yung pencil, pag nilagay mo siya dun sa water, para siyang nag-break, nahati, refract. Okay? It's something to do with the changing of speed. Kasi iba-iba yun eh. If the materials mo ay water, iba ang speed of the light sa water. Iba ang speed of the light sa air. Okay? So, yun yung sinabi natin na refracted. So, kapag tinignan mo yung pencil, pag nilagay mo yung pencil sa may tubig na transparent na lalagyan, you will see na parang putol. Pero hindi siya putol. It's just that nag-refract lang yung light. Kumbaga nag-bend. Okay? Yung light. Same thing kapag kayo ay nangingisda. Okay. So, akakala niyo yung isda, it appeared to be na parang nasa ibabaw. Pero, in reality, okay, yung isda is, refracted image. So, pag kayo ay hinuli nyo siya, hindi nyo siya hulihin dun sa, kung saan nyo nakikita. Medyo ilalim nyo pa. Kasi nag-refract lang yung light sa water. Kaya it appeared to be na parang mababaw, nandun lang sa side na yun. Pero in reality, wala siya doon. Medyo nasa bandang ilalim pa. Okay? So that is the refraction of the light. Okay? Or sometimes, light is transmitted or passes on the straight path. Okay? So transmitted, ibig sabihin, ang light ay, ang position niya is diretso. Okay? Always remember that light travel in the straight line. Okay? So, yung shadow is the evidence that the light is traveling in the straight line. So, always remember that one. Okay, how light travel? Okay, actually, light travel depend on the materials. Okay, so meron tayong sinasabi na transparent, may sinasabi tayong translucent, and then opaque. When we say transparent, lahat ng light magpapass through diretsyo. Kasi transparent nga eh, para siyang plastic. Nilagyan mo siya ng flashlight. O yung flashlight, mo ng plastic, diretso lang yung light, straight path. Okay? Ang tawag natin doon is transparent. If the light passes through, all light passes through, lahat ng light nakapag-penetrate, nakapag-pass through. Now, when we say translucent, so some light passes through. So, merong hindi lahat, actually, po sinabi natin translucent, hindi siya totally transparent. Medyo malabo. Okay. For example, yung plastic, yung, what we call this, yung plastic na medyo malabo. Okay, tawag natin doon translucent. So, since hindi lahat makapass, hindi lahat makadaan yung light, so ang tawag doon ay translucent. And then we have another type which is opaque. Sinabi natin opaque, no light passes through. Totally, hindi makadaan si light. Kaya nagpo-form ng shadow. Kaya sabi natin na nandiyan sa ating previous discussion, shadow is the indication that the light really traveled on a straight path. Kasi ibig sabihin, naharang niya yung light, kaya nagpo-form ng shadow. So that is for the opaque materials. Okay, and by opaque materials, these are the materials na hindi mag-penetrate yung or hindi makapass through yung light. For example, yung bola. If you're holding a ball, tapos nilagyan mo siya ng flashlight, ang tendency, okay, hindi makapag-penetrate si lights, but instead, nakakapag-create siya ng shadow. Kasi normally, ginagamit natin yung ball kapag dinidiscuss natin yung eclipses. Okay, wherein we talk about the two type of shadow, the umbra and penumbra. Okay, so those are the way on how light travel. Always remember, kapag ang object ay nag-travel, ang light nag-travel ng dire-diretso, ang tawag natin doon is transparent. Okay, translucent, if some light passes through, kung hindi there's medyo malabo kasi yung translucent. Okay, so hindi lahat ng light makakapag-pass through. And then opaque, if the light is not totally pass through. Hindi siya makapag-penetrate, hindi siya makapass. Kasi nga, it is opaque. Merong barrier. Okay, so opaque is the formation of shadows. So, the formation of shadows. Now, what is the speed of the light? Yan. Okay, so sabi natin that the speed of the light is constant. Okay, so hindi yan nagbabago. Okay, for example, yung light coming from the sun will be reflected on the earth. So, hindi yun nagbabago. Okay, so scientists stimulating traveling at the speed of the light. The speed of the light at which light will propagate through different materials. In particular, the value of speed of the light in a vacuum is now defined as exactly 299,592,458 meter per second. Or if you're going to use the exponent, that will be 3 times 10 to the 12. Positive 12 meter per second. So, that is the exact or the, hindi na exact, but the estimated speed of the light. But this is the exact, okay, speed of the light. So, sabi nga dyan, it will take, yung light coming from the sun, it will take 8 minutes para makarating sa Earth. So, ganun kabilis. Okay, kaya nga si light, okay, ang speed na light is much mabilis kaysa sa speed ni sound. Mas mabilis ang light. Okay? Kasi hindi niya kailangan gumamit ng any types of medium. So, in any medium, kaya niya. So, actually, wala siyang ginagamit na medium. So, ito always remember the 299,792,458 meter per second. This is the exact speed of the light. Okay? So, behavior of light according to the different studies. So, according to Isaac Newton, light behave as a particles. Okay? Ang light daw is like a particles. According to Isaac Newton. According naman kay Louis de Broglie, I don't know how to pronounce it one. So, light behaves like waves or particles. So, either it's wave or particle, according to de Broglie. Okay? According naman to James Clerk, Maxwell, that si Maxwell kasi proposed the electromagnetic theory of the light. Okay? So, we have the electromagnetic spectrum, siya naman yung spectrum of light. Okay? So, yun yung proposed ni Maxwell. Now, so one example, so one effect, or one, result of phenomenon, okay, na nangyayari sa light, ang tinatawag natin doon ay dispersion. When we say dispersion, we all know that the white light, okay, di ba pag sinabi natin white, walang color. But in reality, yung white light na yan has the 7 colors of the rainbow, the Roy G. Biv. Okay? So, for example, this is the prism. Okay? Yung white light, okay, as it goes to the prism, nagkakaroon siya ng what? Separation of the visible light. As you notice here, yung white light will go to the other side of the prism, and then it's scattered into different colors. And these different colors are known as the Roy G. Biv. Sinabi natin Roy G. Biv, R stands for the red, O for the orange, Y for the yellow, G is for the green, Roy G. So B is blue, I is for indigo, and V is for the violet. And application of dispersion is the formation of rainbow. Ma'am, ba't ba nagkakaroon ng rainbow? Sabi kasi lang, di ba tayo noon, when you were in nursery, di ba sabi ng teacher niyo, it's just, ano lang naman. Okay, parang ano lang yun, myth. Okay? At the end of the rainbow daw, meron daw diyang gold. Okay. Or, but always remember, yung meron kasabihan na, there will be a rainbow after the rain. Okay, if we're going to simulate it in our own life, kumbaga yung rain is the problem. So, after the problem, there is a big surprise. Okay? So, that will be the rainbow. Yung solution, yung rainbow. Now, so paano naging dispersion? Paano na-disperse yung, or paano nagkaroon ng rainbow? O bakit ang rainbow is an example of dispersion? Okay, kailan ba tayo nakakita ng rainbow? Every after the rain. So, walang rainbow before the rain. It's always after the rain. So, kapag natapos ang ulan, doon nagkakaroon ng rainbow. Bakit nagkakaroon ng rainbow? Because nagkakaroon yan kapag umuulan, nag-iiwan yan ng droplets sa air. Tiny droplets sa air. Yung droplets na yon is like this prism. Para siyang prism. Every droplets is like a prism. Now, kapag nagkaroon ng light, okay, for example, umaraw, yung tiny droplets na yun will become the prism. And that prism, okay, sabi nga natin yung white light, masa-separate siya into the Roy G. Biv color. So, yun yung rainbow. Yung tinatawag natin. So, nagkakaroon ng rainbow after the rain because of the droplets of air molecules. Okay? So, yun. So, merong droplets of water molecules dun sa nakascattered sa atmosphere natin that serve as the prism. Okay? So, nagkaroon ng dispersion of light because of that. Kaya nagkakaroon ng rainbow. Next, question number 4. What are the two characteristics of light? Okay, so the light can be characterized as to intensity and to the color. Okay, so always remember, same with electromagnetic wave. So we have also the color, different electromagnetic wave in color through dispersion. Okay, so the wavelength determines the color of the visible. Always remember that the wavelength, siya yung nagde-determine kung anong color ni visible light. Okay, so the shorter the wavelength, katulad ng electromagnetic wave, same thing. The shorter the wavelength, the higher the energy, the higher the frequency. Pag longer ang wavelength or longest ang wavelength, low energy and frequency. I have here the different colors of the rainbow. So, starting from the red. Okay, so the Roy G. Biv, or the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Always remember the acronym. Parang sundan, mabilis nyo matandaan yung color of light. So, always remember si Roy G. Biv. And for the electromagnetic wave, always remember the acronym Raha's mother is visiting Uncle Saber's garden. So we all know that sa electromagnetic wave, ang radio, siya yung longest wavelength, mababa ang frequency, mababa ang energy. Si gamma, since siya ay shortest wavelength, ibig sabihin, mataas ang energy, mataas ang frequency. Now, let's go with the light. Okay, in dispersion of light, okay, the longest wavelength, sino kaya dito ang pinakamahaba ang wavelength? This is violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, or red. Okay, very good. So the red has the longest wavelength. So alam na natin yon. Kapag longest ang wavelength, ang frequency is mataas, ang energy ay mataas. Okay? In light, kapag mataas yung color, mas matingkad, mas brighter. Yun yung, naman niya, yun ang difference. Sa sound, kapag mataas ang frequency, louder, or mataas ang pitch. Okay, sa light, kapag mataas ang wavelength, mataas ang energy, matingkad yung color. So, yun yun. Pag shortest ang wavelength naman, siya naman yung so, ang shortest natin ay violet. So, therefore, kapag shortest ang wavelength, mababa ang energy, mababa ang frequency. Now, since si violet has the shortest wavelength, so therefore, si violet ang mataas ang frequency. Sabihin, mas mabilis siyang mag-refract, si violet. Lowest frequency naman, since ang red ay longest wavelength, so therefore, siya yung pinakamababa ang frequency among these colors. Ang highest energy po naman ay si violet pa din. Kasi si violet ay shortest wavelength. Remember, kapag shortest wavelength, mataas ang energy, mataas ang frequency. Since si red, longest ang wavelength niya, therefore, siya ang pinakamababa ang energy. Okay, so that is the separation of light according to its wavelength. Remember, ang color ng light ay nakadepende to its different wavelength. Now, what color do you see? Yeah. Very good. So we see the color red. So bakit nga ba color red ang tingin natin dito sa flower na to? Okay? So the flower appear to be red because the rose absorb all the color and reflects back the color red. Si rose, inabsorb niya lahat ng kulay. Ang reflect back lang niya ay color red. Kaya nakita natin sa kanya is red. Okay? So, kapag black, Si black naman is opposite. Kapag naman black yung color na nakita niya, ibig sabihin, the black absorb all the color. Okay? Wala siyang kulay actually. Okay? Kasi inabsorb niya lahat. Hindi niya ni-reflect. Kaya hindi natin nakikita. Kaya what we see is only black. And remember, okay? So, kapag inabsorb niya lahat ng color, kaya nga kapag summer, kapag ang suot nyo ay black, mas nakakadagdag ng init factor. Okay? Kasi one of the reason is that the black absorb all the colors. Kaya nga, kapag yung mga matatanda, ayaw nila yan ng susuti ng black. Okay? Madami silang pamahiin. Pero ang gusto nila sabihin, mainit. Okay? Kapag black ang suot yung mainit. Kasi nga, bakit kaya mainit ang pakiramdam? Because it absorb all the colors. It absorb all the energies. Okay? So, yun yung dahilan. Okay? The black absorb all the colors. Next, white object on the other hand reflects all the colors of white light equally. Kapag ano naman ang white, ni-reflect lahat niya ng colors. Okay? Ni-reflect niya lahat ng color. Equally. Kaya ang tingin natin ay white. Walang kulay. Okay? Kasi ni-reflect niya lahat ng color equally, in equal parts. That's why we don't see any colors. Okay? Kaya nga kapag, on the other hand around, opposite ni black, kapag ang suot mo ay white, presko sa pakiramdam. Okay? Kasi the white colors reflects all the colors equally. Now, what are the different sources of light? So, we have two sources. We have the natural light and the artificial light. When we say natural light, ito yung talagang gawa ni Mother Earth. Okay? So, one example of the natural light is the sun. Ma'am, ang moon, but hindi siya natural light. Actually, si moon, although sa gabi, it appears na meron siyang ilaw, but in reality, si moon ay kumukuha lang, ina-absorb niya lang yung ilaw na galing kay sun. Remember, nagkakaroon tayo ng rotation and revolution. So, there are side of there will be side of the earth na nakatalikod tayo sa sun, gabi yon. Okay? So, yung si moon, okay, ni-reflect niya, ina-absorb yung light ni sun. Kaya, si moon, yung nagbibigay naman ng light sa earth during night. Pero in reality, hindi siya, ang moon ay walang sariling light. Okay? So, that is the natural light. Next, artificial. When we say artificial light, these are the light that made by man. Okay? Siya yung light na ginawa ng tao. Either it is candle, lamp, matches, flashlights, bonfires, so those are the artificial light. Okay, now, photometry. Let's move now with the first characteristic of light. Okay. When we say photometry, the photometry is the science of measuring the intensity or brightness of the light. Okay, so when we measure yung intensity ng light, ang tawag natin sa science nun is photometry. Okay, pinag-aralan nila yun. Okay, so we have the two terms, luminous intensity and illuminance. When we say luminous intensity, is the measure of the radiant power emitted by an object but given direction, and it's dependent on the wavelength of a light being emitted. Okay, so si sun is a luminous intensity type. Kasi siya yung nagbibigay, siya yung nagre-release, nag-i-emit ng ilaw. So, ang tawag natin doon is luminous intensity. And luminous intensity has the unit of candela. Okay? So, ang symbol niyan is small letter C and small letter D. Now, illuminance. When we say illuminance, it is a term describing a measurement of the amount of light falling onto or illuminating and spreading over a given surface area. So, si moon is an example of illuminance. Si sun, si luminous intensity kasi kaya niyang mag-radiate, kaya niyang magbigay ng light. Si moon, since wala naman siyang light na i-radiate, but it absorbs, yan, the term describes the measurement of the amount of light falling onto or spreading over the surface area. So, ina-absorb niya yung ilaw na galing kay sun. Ang tawag sa kanya ay illuminance. Okay, si moon. Now, so we have here two scenarios. Okay, note, the distance of the source of the surface of the object affects the amount of illumination received. Isabihin po nito, yung distance ng isang object, okay, nakaka-apekto siya sa kanyang illumination. Okay? So, paano yun? So, which of the two plane board receive a greater amount of illumination? Sino mas brighter? Sino ang mas malinaw sa dalawa? Okay, I have here letter A and letter B. Same candle ang ginamit, but the only difference is distance. Okay. Nakakainis naman yun. Okay, kanina, sorry. Hindi ko na siya mag-playback. Stop na. Okay? So, kanina, na-skip ko. Kanina, pareho siyang candle. Okay? Pero, ang distance ng isa, yung isa malapit, yung isa malayo. Now, sino ang mas brighter, has greater illumination? Yung mas malapit o yung malayo? Of course, our answer, of course, yung mas malapit. Kasi kapag the more na malapit ka, yung surface area na na-scattered ng light, mas malaki. So, what do you call this? Mas brighter yung nakikita mo. Unlike kapag lumalayo. Okay? Since light travel on a straight path, habang lumalayo ka na lumalayo, lumalabo. Okay? Nakita nyo naman yun. For example, yung flashlight. Kapag dinipik yung mas malapit siya, mas maliwanag. Pero the moment na nilalayo siya, medyo nag-scattered. Lumalaki yung angle niya. So, medyo lumalabo. Okay? So, same thing with this one. Kanina, yung distance naka-affect. So, this is naman, on our next picture, ang naka-affect is the source of light. Okay? For example, pareho ng distance. But the difference is the source. Isa kandila at isa is bulb. Sino mas brighter? Of course, mas brighter si bulb. Okay? Kasi mas mataas ang illumination niya. Okay? So, yung illumination, yung how bright something is, depends on two factors. Una, yung distance. Of course, kapag mas malapit, mas brighter. Pag malayo, medyo lumalayo, medyo lumalabo. Second is the source. Okay? Ano bang source ng light mo? Kung candle lang versus candle versus flashlight, mas malinaw si flashlight. So that is the two factors that affect the illumination of the object. The distance of the object and the type or the source of light. Okay. I have here your YouTube quiz number 3. So ito ulit. So anong gagawin dito? You're going to write fact statement if the correct and bluff if the statement is wrong. Okay? So ano pong gagawin? You're going to write it on your notebook first, and then I'm going to send the link doon nyo to transfer yung sagot. Okay? Maliwanag po ba? Same scenario po tayo ha. Nakalimutan ko lang nung first part. Okay, you're going to write your name and your section for you to be recognized and your attendance. Okay? So, for number 1, light travels on the straight line. Is it fact or bluff? Going to write your answer. Number 2, light travel faster than sound. Is it fact or bluff? Number 3, scissors are shiny because they absorb light. Fact or bluff? To make a wall reflect as much light as possible, you should paint it white. Okay, para daw mag-reflect siya ng madaming light, kailangan white muna ang ipinturahan nyo muna siya ng white bago ng other color. Number 5, when light is absorbed by a surface, it doesn't bounce back. Okay, pag inabsorb na siya, hindi na siya pwedeng mag-bounce back pabalik. Number 6, dark colored and smooth surface reflects light well. Number 7, human eye needs light to see. Number 8, color we see is a result of which wavelengths are reflected back to our eyes. Number 9, dispersion is a phenomenon in which prisms separate white lights into components of color. Number 10, all colors of life have equal speeds in a vacuum. So, fact or a bluff. So, you have to wait for the link. As I said, sagutin mo muna sa notebook, tapos hintayin yung link, doon nyo i-transfer yung sagot. Okay? For our part 2 of our YouTube quiz number 3, so you have to read the question and then may mga choices. Write the letter of correct answer. Okay? So that will be the end of our discussion about light. So by the way, before we end this lesson, you have to write first, okay, your name and your section. Okay, para po nag-record ako, alam po sino yung uma-attend dyan sa YouTube. So some of you kasi stable internet connection. Reason why we have another option, the YouTube discussion. Para din also for the modular student para makasagot sila. Okay, our next discussion would be about heat. So, itong ating activity, YouTube quiz, will be checked. Okay, kapag nag-upload na ako ng our next lesson. Okay, so, that ends our discussion. Okay, see you again tomorrow. Tomorrow tayo will discuss ng heat. So, wait for the YouTube link. Okay, thank you and God bless. Bye.